Hey Lakers fans, this is Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast, and what is good in the hood? Or as far as this video is concerned, what is Jordan Goodwin in the hood? Because the Lakers this past week have just signed another Exhibit 10 training camp invite in guard Jordan Goodwin, rounding out their 2024 offseason from a roster perspective, as they now carry the league-mandated 21-player max heading into training camp. And while Jordan Goodwin is just another non-guaranteed camp deal, in today's video, I'm going to quickly break down his strengths and weaknesses as a player and get into why Jordan Goodwin has both the best and worst shot to make the Lakers roster. I'll explain more in a minute. So, who is Jordan Goodwin? Jordan Goodwin is a 25-year-old defensive combo guard who played 4 years in college for the St. Louis Billikens before going undrafted in 2021 and being signed on to the Wizards roster as an undrafted free agent. Jordan Goodwin is 6'4" in height, he has a nice long 6'10" wingspan, and he weighs a hefty 200 pounds. After signing on with the Washington Wizards in 2021 and showing flashes of some productive NBA play, he was traded to the Phoenix Suns last summer as part of the Bradley Beal blockbuster, and was widely regarded by the NBA community as a steal throw-in to the deal who could crack the rotation. And for the first half of last season, he actually cracked the rotation and played pretty solidly for the Suns as their primary backup point guard. But come the trade deadline, Jordan Goodwin was involved in a 3-team deal that netted the Phoenix Suns Royce O'Neal and had him going over to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets would quickly waive him, and he would inevitably sign several 10-day deals with the Memphis Grizzlies to close the 2024 season out, playing a total of 17 games for them. Lakers fans will remember Jordan Goodwin's time with the Memphis Grizzlies because he dropped 23 points and 17 rebounds against them in the second-to-last game of the season. Some quick Goodwin stats of note. In his 17 games with the Memphis Grizzlies last season, he started 12 games, averaging 10 points, 4.5 assists, 1.5 steals, 0.5 blocks, and a ridiculous 8 rebounds a game, on 35% from the field and 31% from 3. But it's his defensive stats of 8 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 0.5 blocks as a 6'4" guard that truly stand out during his short stint with the Grizzlies. But a quick look at his college stats and you'll soon see that his numbers with the Memphis Grizzlies were far from a fluke. During his last 2 seasons in college, Jordan Goodwin averaged 10.4 and 10.1 rebounds respectively, ending his college career with an average of 8.8 rebounds a game. On top of that, he also averaged nearly 2 steals a game all 4 years in college. So now that we've gotten a quick peek into his general statistical output, let's now take a look at some film of his strengths and weaknesses. And while we transition over to that segment, please remember to click subscribe on this channel and like the video below. Off the bat, you'll notice that Jordan Goodwin's strongest and most translatable NBA quality is his scrappy defensive acumen. He's a very physical defender with good fundamental point-of-attack instincts whose motor always runs high. Along with his strong, stocky frame, which he leverages to body up on primary ball handlers to make them uncomfortable, Jordan Goodwin also has very quick, active feet, which make him such a pest to get rid of as an offensive player. He meets ball handlers at the point of attack and pressures them closely, relentlessly stalking their every movement by slithering across screens to make his presence felt. He never gives up on plays and will always give the extra effort to contest a shot. As I mentioned at the top, with his high steal averages throughout his career, Jordan Goodwin also has really good hands on the defensive end. He knows how to wreak havoc in passing lanes with his long 6'10" wingspan. He knows how to disrupt ball handlers' rhythm and poke loose balls away. And he's a very good help defender who always has his head on a swivel and knows when to help off of his man and blitz unsuspecting offensive players who have their heads turned. But the thing that knits his stellar defensive game together is his overall motor and hustle. Jordan Goodwin is a tough, physical, garbage man type at the guard position who will put his body on the line and constantly dive for loose balls, fight for rebounds, and always make the extra effort play to secure another possession for his team. Combined with his stocky build and frame, it's Goodwin's high motor that allows him to crash the glass with an inspired grit and tenacity that isn't too common for small guards his size. Again, 8 rebounds per game with the Grizzlies last season, as well as an 8.8 rebounds per game average throughout his 4 years of college. Boardman gets paid, and hopefully so will Jordan Goodwin soon. Now, moving over to the offensive side of things, Jordan Goodwin is a very serviceable secondary ball handling guard off the bench who has pretty good handles, even shows a little bit of shake sometimes, and overall just knows how to run an offense in the half court with the ball in his hands. He's a pretty good playmaker and can make some nice passing reads off of his own driving gravity. And while he doesn't have unique next level vision as a playmaker, he just has a knack for knowing when to dump the ball off to teammates for easy buckets. And he can solidly run a pick and roll in a pinch. His 4.5 assists with the Memphis Grizzlies last season was even more impressive when you consider that he only averaged 1.6 turnovers, which is a pretty solid assist to turnover ratio. On the ball, he's a crafty, savvy ball handler who likes to put defenders in jail as he navigates the mid-range area. He's got a nice soft floater in the mid-range that he likes to utilize, and thanks to his sturdy girth, he can methodically get to his spots beyond the three-point line and does a good job of penetrating into the paint, catching defenses off guard with a quick first step for easy lay-ins for himself or for his teammates. And while he's not a traditional downhill driver in the sense that he's neither insanely quick or athletic, he is a very crafty attacker who's relentless and always looking for ways to create opportunities for himself and his teammates inside the three-point line and within the paint by probing that area constantly. Now let's turn things over to some of Jordan Goodwin's weaknesses. First and foremost, Jordan Goodwin has never been a good three-point shooter, either from an efficiency standpoint or a volume standpoint throughout his career. In college, he was a career 31% three-point shooter on very low volume, only hitting 0.7 threes a game. And in the NBA, he's also an identical career 31% three-point shooter, hitting 0.7 threes a game. And if you just look at his overall shooting profile, while there's nothing mechanically broken about his shot, when it comes to wide open catch and shoot threes, he's a very poor and inconsistent shooter. His misses can be all over the place and not particularly close at times, coming up woefully short or ricocheting off the rim or glass in every which way. A movement shooter coming off screens, Jordan Goodwin is not. He has to be perfectly set with his shoulders perfectly squared in order for his three-point shot to have a chance. He also probably takes a tad bit more pull-up off the dribble threes than he should as well. Having said that, it does seem like Jordan Goodwin has made active strides in improving his three-point shot, as last season he hit the highest volume of threes in his career with the Memphis Grizzlies, making 1.1 threes a game, showing at the very least an active desire to get the reps up and improve this part of his game. Now moving on to the other most glaring weakness in Jordan Goodwin's game. As intimated a little earlier when mentioning his crafty sort of on-ball play, Jordan Goodwin is not an explosive above-the-rim athlete. While he likes to drive into the paint and survey the floor for easy buckets and passes, Jordan Goodwin isn't exactly a good finisher himself at the rim. He doesn't have a creative layup package and can't convert shots in a variety of ways. And if he's actually able to get all the way to the rim, he simply doesn't have the athleticism to go up strong and hammer the ball down in traffic, even if there's just one defender in front of him. His attempts and finishes in the lane are what you'd call weak and soft, and it's very easy to bother his shots and send it away, which is a little bit surprising given his stout and sturdy frame. Because of this, you'll often find him settling way too much for that floater of his, which ends up being his worst crutch when he finds himself stuck and lost in no man's land. Again, 35% from the field with the Grizzlies through 17 games last season. That is a terrible, abysmal percentage. So, given his strengths and weaknesses, who does Jordan Goodwin's game remind me the most of in the NBA when it comes to player comps? Well, if you follow me on X, @LakersLegacyPod, this will come as no surprise. Jordan Goodwin reminds me of a less athletic Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan, gritty bully ball guard who loves to pick ball handlers up 90 feet and crash the glass, but a guard who can also handle the rock and playmake in a pinch as well. The Lakers have been so thirsty and so hot after Bruce Brown's heels the last 2 years that I guess they finally just decided to sign bargain bin Bruce Brown in Jordan Goodwin after falling short at every turn. So in conclusion, does Jordan Goodwin have a shot at making the Lakers roster next year? Surely bargain bin Bruce Brown has a shot. Well, I'll say this. Jordan Goodwin, out of anyone the Lakers have brought into training camp this summer, including their Exhibit 10 players and their two-way guys, Kyler Kelly, Quincy Oliveri, Blake Hinson, Colin Castleton, and Armel Traore. Out of all of those guys, I think that Jordan Goodwin definitely has the best chance of making the Lakers' standard roster. Mainly because he has proven himself to be a legitimate NBA rotation player and a solid defensive playmaking guard off the bench. And yet, even while I think he has the best chance of actually making the standard roster, at the same time, he also has the worst chance at the moment out of all the two-way Exhibit 10 guys of actually making the team in general. Because while he's more of an NBA player than the Exhibit 10 guys in Kyler Kelly and Quincy Oliveri, those two still have a shot at nabbing two-way contracts. Meanwhile, Jordan Goodwin is unfortunately no longer two-way eligible since he already has 3 years of NBA experience. So Goodwin would need to make it onto the big league squad on a standard contract. And as we all know, the Lakers roster is currently full. So Jordan Goodwin would have to play so well in training camp in preseason that he would force the Lakers' hands to cut or salary dump one of their expiring veteran minimum players like Cam Reddish just to sign him, which kind of seems unlikely. But because Jordan Goodwin signed an Exhibit 10 deal, that means he's incentivized to play for the South Bay Lakers next year at the very least. So if and when the Lakers are able to make a consolidation trade using players like Gabe Vincent and Cam Reddish that frees up an extra roster spot or two, then I could see the Lakers calling Goodwin up and signing him to a non-guaranteed deal where he could then easily assume the position of being the Lakers' new defensive insurance guard off the bench. However way it happens, due to his bully ball Bruce Brown-like player profile and defensive intensity, I would not be surprised at all if Jordan Goodwin is on the main roster at some point this season. The Lakers need more gritty, high motor and hustle players on the defensive side of the ball, and Jordan Goodwin could be a small, but good win in that respect. This has been Jonathan Hernandez of the Lakers Legacy Podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Please do me a favor and click the subscribe button on this channel, ring the notification bell, hit the like button, comment down below. And with that said, I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching.